There's like 2 minutes left in this preseason game, but do not care because the hay is in the barn. We know what we know, and Kellen Mond finally got it done. Where I was worried, man. I was nervous because, like I said, I put a lot on the table. I really put my huevos out there betting on Kellen Mond, and he showed up and showed out. He had a fantastic game. Now, there was certainly some good, bad, and ugly, especially bad and ugly early on, but he really got things together, and he dropped a couple of dimes, man. Had 2 touchdowns, 9 of 14, a 130.7 quarterback rating, as well as just he dropped some real dimes, man. Just absolutely. And even on the first drive he was in, where there were some misfires, it was a nice back pylon throw by Mon to BC, 3rd and 4. The Fran Tarkenton scramble, just like, oh, here we go again. But the way that he picked up that 4th and 5, perfect strike to Burt Wilson on that slant for the first touchdown. And then on the drive where he came back into the game, had some really nice connections with Myron Mitchell, who I think is a low-key stud. And then he had that perfect ball to Burt Wilson on the wheel route on 3rd and 11. So it was fantastic. Final drive, 4 of 5 for 71 yards and a tutty. And I do think that the book is closed on the Vikings QB2 competition, where I do think that Sean Mannion is fine. Like, he didn't play overly bad. He didn't play overly good. He played the way that you would expect Sean Mannion to play. He's a veteran, perfectly fine clipboard holder, but I do think that Kellen Mond has that upside. And like we've said on here a bunch, the Vikings had the opportunity to draft any quarterback in the 2022 draft. They could have took anyone. They could have took Pickett, Malik Willis. They could have took Sam Howell. They could have took anyone at any time, but they decided to roll with Kellen Mond because both Kwesi, Kevin O'Connell, Wes Phelps are like, mama, I can change him. We can work with Kellen Mond, and you do see it. Like, Kellen Mond is far from a finished product right now, but as having potential as a QB2, you see the flashes. Like, you see some of the dimes and piss missiles that he drops. He's got arm talent for days. He's got fantastic mobility. He's a good leader as well. But you see, a lot of it is timing. A lot of it is throwing with anticipation. A lot of it is just getting used to an NFL offense where he came from Texas A&M. Most of the time was in the shotgun, just like a normal college offense nowadays. So he's developing. He is coming along. But I think there's clearly enough potential. There's clearly enough good things where you're intrigued long term. And Sean Mannion, he just isn't that guy. He's, again, perfectly fine backup quarterback, but he doesn't have that potential to be QB2 or QB of the future. So that's it for Mond and Mannion. Like, I would be very disappointed if Kellen Mond exclusively doesn't get time with the 2s, and if Cousins misses more time with the Rona, like if he doesn't get time with the 1s, I think that's what they should be focusing on right now. And of course, Kellen Mond, he sometimes practices like booty, but he shows up on game day. We got Kyle Slater 2.0, baby. It's happening. I love it. But we got 10 takeaways from the... Is this game over yet? 2 minutes left. It's still 26-20. Yeah, I don't care. But 10 takeaways. Number 1, Mond over Mannion. Yes, pretty easy. Number 2, running back depth is deep. I mean, Ty Chandler, baby, come on down. Also, that kick return, whew, looking damn good. And plus King Kene and Wangu. So King Kene had 7 for 41. Ty Chandler 5 for 50. That second team offensive line got after it, man. They absolutely did. So big time respect there. And also, the Vikings going with Dalvin and Madison, King Kene, Ty Chandler. Kovac could have had a nice day, except he kept having some drops, so that's whatever there. O'Connell play calling, even though, yes, it is the base offense. It is very vanilla. You're not tipping your hand in preseason. It's very, very basic, but it does feel like O'Connell has a flow. It does seem like there's a logical progression. Yes, a couple of 2nd and 10 runs, but yeah, you can't really argue there. But especially running play action, running crossers, a lot of things like that. Plus, we haven't really seen the vertical game yet, which is obviously going to be part of the Vikings offense. But overall, it just felt smooth. It felt like an actual NFL offense versus, last year, Kid Kubiak's sort of helter-skelter daddy's offense thing, right? Number 4, rookie jitters besides Ed Ingram. So Ed Ingram crushed, by the way. Second team offensive line looked really good, especially the interior left to right of Ed Ingram at left guard, Austin Schlottman at center, as well as Kyle Hinton at right guard. But also, he had Andrew Booth Jr., 17,000 different penalties. Evans was whatever. Asamoah looked good. except he overran a special teams tackle. It is what it is. Jalen Naylor muffed a kick return right away, so that's whatever there. Lewis Cine looked fine as well, but overall, I mean, the rookies, you got a little bit of good, you got a little bad, you got a little bit of everything. Number 5, Austin Schlottman, man. Austin Schlottman, baby. We're going to have to go back and take a look at the tape. But overall, Schlottman working with the second-team offensive line at center looked really damn good, man. And yes, you are playing against the Raiders' backups. But Schlottman, as a backup center, I know Chris Reed didn't dress. He didn't play today. He had been working as second-team center for the Vikings over the last couple weeks after Bradbury showed up and was sort of booty. Bradbury was inert. I put the sack more on Jesse Davis. The first one from Malcolm Kuntz on Mannion. But Schlottman looked really good, man. Plus, him in the 65, shades of John Sullivan. Look like John Sullivan out there, man. And Schlottman coming over from the Broncos where he worked with Cooper and Rascati and Modkins. Maybe that gives him an inside track. But overall, I think that he played really, really well today. Hopefully he can build on that. 6, pressure defense. So the Vikings, how many sacks did the Vikings rack up? There's a lot, man. Let's see, sacks. All right, so they had 4 sacks. They were just getting after, and obviously you weren't playing with your starters, but it was good to see them generating more pressure and generally just rushing 4. And also they're 2-4-5 nickel, which is essentially a 4-2-5 nickel, except your defensive ends are just standing up playing outside linebacker. But overall, it looked really good. And like we said, the Vikings defense, I think it's going to be designed to play nicely with a lead. So if the Vikings get up double digits, all of a sudden teams are on pass mode, and then, baby, we're coming. We're coming, man. 7, ticky-tacky penalties. So many defensive holding calls, both on the Vikings and the Raiders, were just like, how? I understand that there's an emphasis on it this year, but it's just so ticky-tacky. And I get they'll do that so that teams understand they have to scale it back, and then they'll just sort of recess those things a little bit. But man, T.Y. McGill, who primarily played backup nose tackle, he's a player, man. Got a couple of sacks. Actually, how many sacks did he get credit for? Was it 2? Yeah, 2 sacks. Had some nice pressure, really plugged up some of the gaps, plugged up the A gaps with the second and third team defense. I do think that Ty McGill has been a bit of a journeyman veteran. I think he's been in the league for 8 years. I think that he may have found a home for the Vikings as their understudy nose tackle. Number 9, Tristan Jackson, wide receiver 5. So Tristan had himself a really nice ball game. He had, 2 for 26. On 3 targets. Could have had a touchdown too, except Mon missed him in the back of the end zone. But we've said that Tristan Jackson has overall had a nice camp, has had some drop issues, but I think that I think you might even pencil him in as wide receiver 5 right now because you look at the way that they dispersed the wide receivers. Myron Mitchell didn't get action until really late. Same thing with Jalen Naylor. So I think that it's clear that Tristan Jackson may be ahead of B.C. Johnson in the pecking order, maybe on par with Burt Wilson as well. So yeah, I think Jackson does have a legit shot to be that wide receiver 5 on the Vikings. That's the wrong slide. Let's see, number 10, still no punt returner. Yeah, so ISM had an adventure on his. And Jalen Naylor had an issue on that kick return specifically, but ISM had 2 punt returns for -4 yards. I think that competition is still going to be wide open as of right now. But overall, I mean, the Vikings seemingly came out of this game healthy, which is the number one thing about this. I think the defense looked good in spurts. I think. Well, second and third team defense definitely gave it away now, but that's sort of expected. I really like the progression of the offensive play calling from O'Connell, both with the starters and the second and third teams. Getting a phone call, got to hang up. So all that's really fun. But overall, like we said, the story of the day is Kellen frickin' Mond, man. The Vikings got themselves a quarterback. But that's it. That is our quick post-game wrap-up. We're going to do winners and losers here in 2 seconds. We'll also cover the O'Connell press conference, and we'll talk about Kellen Mond here in a sec. But thanks for coming along. You guys are the best. If you like the format of the 10-minute half-hour pregame show, 10-minute halftime show, 10-minute postgame show, let us know in the comments or send us some Venmo.